Hello. Another video in the series looking at music notation, how music's written down and how that corresponds to what we can hear or what we can play. Now in the last video I talked about the stave and the clef and the key signature, the basic framework that's written down that we can start putting notes and so on top of to write a piece of music. What I want to talk about in this one is the idea of tempo. And the tempo is how fast or how slow a piece of music is. The notes that we mark on the stave, there's no fixed value to a particular note symbol. There's nothing that says, if you use this symbol, it indicates that the note's played for half a second or a full second or a quarter of a second or whatever. So like the basic unit of measurement that we have in music is the beat, and we measure the tempo or the speed of a piece of music in beats per minute, and then the note values from there on indicate if you're playing that for that note for a full beat or a half beat or what have you. So if we think about a piece of music that's written at a fairly steady sort of pace, might be something like 100 beats a minute, or it could be something a bit slower, this maybe is like 60 beats a minute, or it could be something that's a bit faster, this maybe is 140 beats a minute. Okay, so we're going to start talking about tempo and so on. It's a very useful thing to have, and it's one of these. This is a metronome. Metronomes come in all shapes and sizes. You might see in the traditional clockwork ones, like a little wooden box with the arm with the weight on that ticks backwards and forwards. Or you can get these really compact little electronic ones. I've had this one for years and years now. You can pick up things like this fairly cheaply on somewhere like eBay or whatever. If you haven't got any sort of budget at all, what I can suggest is if you go to this link here, there's a metronome available on my own website. It's like a little sister application to PhatPhish. And what a metronome does is it just basically gives you a reference beat. So if I turn this on, you should be able to hear that ticking away. This is set at 60 beats a minute. So what that means is at intervals of a second, this because there's 60 in a minute, we get a beat. So something at a fairly slow tempo would give you 60 beats a minute. Something at a faster tempo, say like twice this speed, 120 beats a minute, each beat would last for half a second. Okay, so that's our basic unit of measurement, the beat. And what that gives us, when you know the tempo that a piece of music's written in, you know how fast to count it. So if you have something that's written at, say, 60 beats a minute, it's like this metronome set at. If you think about it, say counting something in 4/4 time, I'll talk about time signatures in a second, but if you think about the way it's counted, it'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. If we had a faster piece of music, I'd say I'll wind this metronome up a little bit. Okay, so that's now at 100 beats a minute. So you can hear that's faster. So we'll count would be faster. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. And that's how we measure the tempo of a piece. In traditional music notation, so when you'll see something like Italian phrases, because all the written terminology in music tends to be Italian. They use terms like largo is very, very slow, adagio is slow, moderato is a moderate speed, allegro is fast, prestissimo very fast, and so on. And basically those are just ranges of like numbers of beats per minute. So if you saw something that was written as say like adagio, that's probably going to be about 60 something to 70 something beats per minute. But what you should normally see at the start of a piece of music is the tempo. And the important thing that's written on the stave that tells us how to interpret the tempo is a thing called the time signature. Okay, don't confuse that with the key signature. The key signature tells us what notes are involved. The time signature tells us the way that the notes are timed. So here's a stave with some notes on it, and the important thing for this tutorial is the time signature, which is those two numbers on top of each other there on the left hand side. Now what this key signature tells us is that there's 4 quarter notes in a bar. So what we've got here is a single bar of music, and it's got 4 crotchets. Now a crotchet is a quarter note, so the time signature tells us for a bar to be full, to be complete, it'll have 4 quarter notes in. Now in this example we've got 4 quarter notes, but equally well that could be just a pair of half notes, or it could be a whole note, or it could be a half note and 2 quarters, or some other combination of divisions of the note. As long as it all adds up to 4 quarter notes, a whole note per bar, then the bar is complete. Now, looking at this, I'll explain how we count the notes. Now, by counting them, I don't mean you go like, oh, there's a note there, that's 1, there's another note there, that's 2. What I'm talking about with counting is the way that we describe the pattern. Okay, so the best way to explain this is probably with the help of a metronome or a simple drum machine or something. Let's say that we're going to be playing this at 60 beats per minute. So 60 beats per minute, each beat will last for 1 second, which is a 60th of a minute. So listen to this. Okay, so this is the sound of 1 beat per minute. And if we look at the bar 4/4, we've got quarter notes, 1 quarter note per beat. So we'll count that as 1, 2, 3, 4. Simple as that. Each note count the number of the beat that it's on. So we had more than 1 bar, keep the pattern going, and start from 1 again at the start of each bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now what we can do is we can keep the same piece of music notation, but we can make that faster just by changing the number of beats per minute. So at the moment we're playing at 60 beats a minute. What I can do is I can increase the speed on the metronome, wind that up to 120 beats a minute. So in this case a beat lasts for half of a second. Yeah. So the notes are numbered in the same way and they're written in the same way, but what we're saying is that each beat is twice as fast as it was before. So it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So that was a way that we could increase the speed of the piece just by increasing the number of beats per minute. Now let's look at another example, but we'll use a different type of note. What we'll do here is, rather than playing quarter notes on each beat, we'll play eighth notes. Now if you look at this, what we've got here is there's twice as many dots on the page, but each dot only lasts for half as long as it did in the previous example, because before we had 4 quarter notes. Here we've got 8 eighth notes. Yeah, but it still adds up to 4 quarters, so it's still a complete bar of music. Now let's see how we'd count that one out. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you can hear the difference there. When we're playing the note right on the start of the beat, we use a number. When we're playing the fraction, we're using an and. But we still keep the same count going: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And again, we can play this faster or we can play this slower depending on the number of beats per minute that we stipulate for the piece. So before we were using 60 beats a minute. Let's look at the same thing, same notation, but we'll play this at 120 beats a minute, and we end up with something that sounds like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So it's the same written notation, but more beats per minute means that each note lasts a shorter period of time. Now let's look at another example. Even more notes this time. Instead of playing eighth notes, let's play sixteenths. What we'll do is we'll divide each beat into 4 notes. Each beat is itself is a quarter note, so dividing that into 4 gives us a 16th note. Let's look at how we count that. 1E and a, 2E and a, 3E and a, 4E and a, 1E and a, 2E and a, 3E and a, 4E and a. Okay, so you might feel a bit stupid if you're counting something like that out loud, but there's nothing wrong with it. It's a legitimate way of counting the beats, and you have a different kind of thing, either the number or the and, the E or the a, to differentiate which fraction of the beat that you're playing on. Okay, now those examples there that we've looked at so far have all been in 4/4 time. There's some other ways we can divide a beat up. We could look at, even more divisions, like 30-second notes or whatever, or we could use triplets and dividing a beat into 3, things like that. That's a little bit more advanced. We'll leave that for now. But what I will talk about is using a different type of time signature. Now the time signature that we had there was 4/4 time, 4 quarter notes in each bar. So let's look at a different time signature. Before we were using 4/4 time, another time signature that you might come across is 3/4 time. Now with this you're still playing quarter notes, but there's only 3 of those per bar. So I'll show you what that sounds like. Okay, for this example, what I'll do is I'll set the metronome up so it plays a different note on the first beat of the bar, so it makes it easier for you to follow the way that it's being counted. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So as you can hear, it's the same pattern for counting. We always start each bar with 1, but this time we're using 1, 2 and 3 because there's only 3 beats per bar. Now there's loads of different types of signatures, and really this tutorial is just intended to give you a basic overview of how time signatures and the idea of beats per minute work. What I was wanting to try and do here is tie in from the previous tutorial where we looked at the relative durations of notes, where you've got whole notes, half notes, quarter notes and so on, and showing how they relate to a certain period of time based on the number of beats per minute, and then showing you how the time signature tells you how those beats are written. A lot of the music that you come across will be in 4/4 time, so being used to the idea of being able to count in 4/4 and so on is a useful skill to have. Okay, so that really is just to give you a basic understanding. There's a lot more to do on this subject, but don't want this tutorial to get too long and rambling, so we'll leave it there. Hopefully you found that useful, and I'll catch up with you in another video sometime soon. Bye for now.